So Shane Fury says that Alexander Usyk did beat his brother and did deserve to get the decision. Well, well, well. Where does this leave the delusional Fury fanboys now? Shane's betrayed you. All mocking of the Fury fanboys aside, Shane Fury has been one of the most sensible people in the Fury family over the years, right behind Peter. It was disappointing to see him lose that sensible head he's had in the run-up to the Usyk fight. He was saying stuff that was silly. He was supporting John Fury's behavior when he headbutted that guy, which was also silly. But I get it. It's his family. He loves them. Sometimes in the heat of the moment, you instinctively want to back your family even when they're in the wrong. But now that the dust has settled, things have calmed down. Shane Fury's been able to take stock and watch the fight back. In this IFL interview, he says that in his view, Usyk won the fight. And he basically explains that the thing that threw him off watching the fight live at ringside is that prior to the 8th round, the rounds that Usyk was winning were still quite tight. He wasn't winning them by a big margin. But the rounds that Tyson won, again, up until the 8th, a couple of them at least, he did win by a big margin. And again, he was caught up in the whole Fury family mindset at the time. And you don't always see every single punch that lands when you're sitting ringside. Sometimes the fighters have their back to you. Sometimes there are people getting in the way in the crowd when they stand up for certain moments. Sometimes the fighters are on the other side of the ring. But as I say, now that he's watched it back, he's willing to concede that Usyk did win fair and square. Now, obviously, I find it amusing confronting the delusional Fury fanboys with stuff like this. But that aside, this is actually very good for Tyson Fury. The stuff that Shane Fury said in this interview is good for Tyson Fury. You should be happy, truth be told, if you're a Fury fan, hearing Shane Fury talk here. Because this is what he needs to hear. This is what he needs to understand. This is what he needs to accept. Usyk won the fight fair and square. Simply put, Tyson Fury got hit too much. Too many clean shots. Even prior to the 8th round. At the end of the 1st round, big clean left hand, bang in the face. Start of the 2nd round, 2 big shots, bang in the face. And several other big shots in the first 4 rounds. Caught Tyson Fury clean, and he was getting hit with loads of body shots. And he wasn't hitting Usyk as clean, at least not to the head, as Usyk was hitting him in the first 4 rounds of the fight. He simply wasn't. He wasn't landing as many damaging blows in the first 4 rounds as Usyk was. And in fact, even though Tyson Fury did land a few decent body shots in the first 4, it still wasn't as many as Usyk was landing. So I say it again, Fury got hit too much. Not just in the 8th, 9th, etc. No, even in the first 4 rounds was getting hit too much. In the 7th, he was getting hit too much. And every round thereafter, he got hit too much. I've long said that the remedy that is required to get hit less against Alexander Usyk is aggression. It sounds counterintuitive, but think about it. Usyk is the shorter fighter with shorter arms, and he was aggressive against Tyson Fury, but got hit less. Sometimes offense is the best defense, because by being offensive, you put your opponent on edge, and you can make him work at a pace that he's uncomfortable with. That's what Usyk did to Fury. In a rematch, Fury needs to turn the tables. And the beauty of fighting on the front foot, if you're sensible about it, if you know what you're doing, is that you may not have to throw a ton of punches in order to be effective. Just your physical presence, just the threat of you with your forward momentum, slinging big shots over the top against your opponent, the threat of that can cause your opponent to throw less. There is simply no way on God's green earth that Tyson Fury can match Alexander Usyk for stamina. You put these guys on a running track, you put these guys on a heavy bag, you put these guys in any kind of cardiovascular endeavor, and Usyk's gonna come out on top. So the key is not to try and match his stamina. The key is to try and bring his work rate down to a level where you're comfortable. That's the trick. And in my view, you do that by being aggressive, being assertive. Of course you can feint, but feint coming forward, feint on the front foot, feint from an offensive posture. And in fact, this brings me on to something else that Shane Fury said in the interview. He spoke about his dad, John's involvement in the corner. He was very diplomatic about it, but in a nutshell, he said, sometimes when you're too emotionally involved, you're gonna give the fighter advice in order to keep them safe from harm. But that advice isn't necessarily what the fighter needs to hear in order to win the fight. In other words, John Fury, certainly after round 8 and 9, was telling his son to stay out of trouble, move around, don't get involved. And the inference Shane Fury was making was actually Tyson needed to listen to Sugar Hill, somebody who isn't quite as emotionally involved as John Fury for obvious reasons. And Sugar Hill's advice seemed to be, press the action. Now, obviously, if you do press the action, there's the chance you walk onto one and get cleaned out. But if you want to win the fight, that's a risk you're going to have to take. And I completely agree with Shane Fury on that as well. And finally, he also said, win, lose, or draw in a rematch, he wants his brother to retire. He said even if his brother knocks Usyk out in one round, he should retire regardless. He obviously didn't like seeing his brother take all that punishment because Tyson Fury, I know there are some Fury fans out there who are totally delusional. Tyson Fury took a terrible beating in the fight. A terrible beating. He's never taken a beating like that before in his entire professional career, and certainly not in his amateur career either. Shane Fury said that he was recently at one of these boxing gala events where loads of these old ex-champions turn up. And he said that loads of them were punch drunk. He had pugilistic dementia. And he said he don't want his brother Tyson ending up like that because no amount of money is worth ending up like that. And I agree with that too. Not that Tyson Fury should retire. I think it depends on how the Usyk rematch goes, if it actually goes ahead. But then again, I'm a boxing fan. I'm not a member of the Fury family. If Fury were to win, of course, I would want to see him fight Anthony Joshua after that. In fact, even if Fury didn't win, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Anthony Joshua because Usyk's already beat Joshua twice. I'm not really clamoring to see Usyk Joshua 3 right now. And if Usyk beats Fury for a second time as well, then why not Joshua versus Fury, depending on how Fury loses, right? If it's not even competitive and he gets totally destroyed, then maybe not. But if he's at least somewhat competitive in a losing effort, then yeah, I'd still watch AJ Fury. It could be seen as the battle for the number 2 spot of this era. Who was the second best heavyweight? And of course, the battle to decide who was the best British heavyweight of this era. Anyway, if you haven't seen this interview with Shane Fury, I highly recommend it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Are you sick and tired of the mainstream mindset? Does the dogmatic conformity and pathological ignorance have you tearing your hair out in frustration? Then don't be alone. Come and join our brotherhood on Patreon. We stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. You'll gain access to my weekly topical podcast where we take more deep dives than Jacques Cousteau on an endless variety of subjects. There's also videos, interviews, live Q&As, as well as a vast back catalogue of previous episodes, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen via the Patreon app or download in high-quality MP3. Connect with myself and hundreds of other members in our Element chat group. There's no contract, no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a Mickey D's McMuffin. Just head to my Patreon page via the link below this video and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. I'll see you over there.